Chosen one, you do not realize what is at stake right now, but your spirit has been trying to tell you that this season is not normal. The restlessness, the strange pressure, the sudden distance from people you once felt close to, the dreams, the exhaustion, the quiet knowing that you cannot keep living the same way. None of it is random. You were led into this moment because God is bringing your attention back to the place you have been trying to ignore. Not to frighten you, not to rush you, not to make you panic, but to wake you gently before the door fully opens. Your time is now, but not in the shallow way people say it when they simply want you to feel encouraged. Your time is now because the preparation has reached a threshold. The delay was not empty. The silence was not wasted. The pressure was not punishment. God was forming the version of you that can carry what is coming. And what is at stake is not only the blessing, it is your obedience. It is your clarity. It is your peace. It is your ability to step into the next season without dragging the old identity with you. And I hear the Father saying, pay attention, because soon you will understand why this moment mattered. You may still be looking at your life and thinking nothing has changed. You may still be waking up in the same room, answering the same messages, carrying the same responsibilities, facing the same bills, hearing the same voices, walking through the same routines. From the outside, it may not look like anything sacred is happening, but that is why this message matters. Because some of the most important moments in your life will not arrive with thunder. They will arrive quietly. They will come through a discomfort you cannot explain, a knowing you cannot shake, a separation you did not plan, a heaviness that does not feel like depression, but like your spirit is carrying information your mind has not translated yet. You are standing in an ordinary day, but this is not an ordinary hour. God often hides transition under normal things. You are still eating, still working, still speaking, still showing up, still taking care of what has to be handled. But underneath it all, something has shifted. Something in you no longer fits where it used to fit. Something in you no longer responds to what used to control you. Something in you can no longer pretend that old patterns feel like peace. What felt comfortable now feels crowded. What felt familiar now feels draining. What felt safe now feels too small. And that is not because you are becoming cold. It is not because you are losing yourself. It is because God is making it impossible for you to keep living beneath the level of your calling. There is a version of you that survived the last season. Honor that version. It carried you through pain, confusion, betrayal, loneliness, delay, and disappointment. But there is also a version of you being called forward now. And the version that survived cannot always be the version that leads. This is why you have been feeling the tension. Part of you wants to stay where everything is known. Part of you wants to move where everything is being revealed. Part of you wants proof before obedience. Part of you already knows what God has been asking. That is the hidden battle. Not between you and another person. Not between you and the world. Not even between you and your circumstances. The deeper battle is between the old identity that learned to survive and the new identity that is being asked to trust. And that is why you must stay with this message until the end. Because before this closes, you are going to understand the signs you have been feeling in your body. The reason certain doors stayed shut. The reason some people could not come with you. The real meaning of the pressure around your mind. And the one quiet decision that will show whether you are ready to step into the time God has appointed for you. This is not about hype. This is about recognition. Because once you recognize the season you are in, you stop fighting the process that is trying to form you. Maybe the first thing you have noticed is the exhaustion. Not ordinary tiredness. Not the kind that goes away after one good night of sleep. This is deeper. It feels like your bones are tired. It feels like you are carrying a weight that no one can see. You can rest and still wake up feeling as if your spirit has been working through the night. You may have wondered what is wrong with you, but listen carefully. Sometimes the body gets tired when the spirit is processing transition. Sometimes you are not exhausted, because you are weak. You are exhausted because the old life requires energy that your spirit is no longer willing to give. You are tired of pretending, tired of explaining, tired of shrinking, tired of carrying conversations that do not feed you, tired of smiling in environments where your spirit is quietly suffocating. That exhaustion is not always a sign that you are failing. Sometimes it is the signal that God is withdrawing your strength from places He no longer wants you to build. Another thing you may have noticed is the emotional waves. You can be fine one moment, and then something rises in you without warning. Tears come, but you cannot explain them. Peace comes, but it does not stay long. Then sadness, then hope, then silence, then a strange calm that feels almost too deep for words. This does not mean you are unstable. It means something is moving. There are emotions you postponed because survival did not give you time to feel them. There are griefs you buried because you had to keep going. There are prayers you stopped speaking because disappointment taught you to be careful with hope. But now God is letting certain things rise, not to drown you, but to release you. You cannot cross into the next season carrying everything you refused to feel in the last one. So if tears have been coming without a clear reason, do not shame yourself. If peace and sadness have been passing through you like weather, do not assume you are broken. If old memories have returned, not to torment you, but to be looked at one more time, understand what may be happening. God is not reopening the wound to punish you. He is cleaning what survival only covered. Another sign is that your tolerance has changed. You cannot sit in the same conversations like before. You cannot laugh at the same things like before. You cannot keep giving emotional access to people who only know how to drain, criticize, confuse, or control you. And this change may have made you feel guilty. You may have asked yourself, am I becoming selfish? Am I being distant? Am I losing love for people? But chosen one, listen. Boundaries are not betrayal. Distance is not hatred. Silence is not cruelty. Sometimes love remains, but access changes. Sometimes you can forgive someone and still not return to the same closeness. Sometimes you can bless people and still know that your assignment requires separation. The old version of you thought love meant unlimited availability. The new version of you is learning that love without wisdom can become self-abandonment. And God did not bring you this far, so you could keep abandoning yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. Another thing you may have been noticing is the dreams. Dreams that feel more vivid than normal. Dreams where you are walking through houses, searching for something, leaving one place and entering another. Seeing doors, roads, water, keys, stairs, rooms, people from the past, or faces that feel familiar even when you do not know them. Not every dream is a message. Not every image needs to be interpreted. But when the same feeling keeps returning, when the same symbol keeps appearing, when you wake up with a weight in your spirit that feels different from imagination, it may be time to pay attention. God has always known how to speak beneath the noise. And sometimes when your waking mind is too busy, your deeper awareness begins to receive what your daily routine keeps pushing away. Another sign is repetition. The same phrase keeps finding you. The same number appears in strange places. The same conversation happens through different people. The same scripture, the same song, the same warning, the same inner sentence returns again and again. You try to ignore it, but it comes back. You move on, but it follows. You distract yourself, but it waits. And at some point, you have to ask whether life is repeating something because heaven is emphasizing something. This is not about obsession. It is about discernment. God does not need to shout when He knows how to confirm. And for many of you, the confirmation has already been happening. Not in a way that would impress everyone else. Not in a way that would make sense to people who demand proof for everything sacred. But in a way that your spirit recognizes. Another sign is the tension that comes when you think about the future. You may feel pressure in your chest, a strange heaviness around decisions, a nervous feeling when you imagine stepping into more responsibility, more visibility, more commitment, more obedience. And you may think, if this is from God, why does it feel heavy? Because calling is not always light at first. Sometimes the weight you feel is not a warning to run. Sometimes it is your spirit recognizing that what is ahead must be handled with reverence. You are not afraid because you are unqualified. You are afraid because something in you understands that this next season is real. The door is real. The responsibility is real. The shift is real. And this is where many chosen ones misunderstand the moment. They think the goal is to feel completely fearless before they move. But God often asks for obedience before the fear has fully left. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is agreement with God, while the old self still wants to hide. So what is truly at stake? It is not just whether you receive what you have been praying for. It is whether you become the person who can carry it. Because a blessing without readiness can become pressure. An open door without clarity can become confusion. Visibility without healing can expose wounds you never allowed God to touch. Increase without identity can make you forget the very reason you were trusted with more. This is why the delay was not empty. You thought you were being held back, but God was building capacity. You thought you were forgotten, but God was forming stability. You thought nothing was happening, but God was teaching you how to stand when no one clapped, how to obey when no one understood, how to remain faithful when the promise looked silent. Joseph did not go from the dream to the palace in one step. There was a pit, there was betrayal, there was false accusation, there was prison, there was waiting, there were years where the promise looked impossible. But the delay did not cancel the dream. It developed the man who could carry the dream. Esther did not step into her moment without preparation. She was hidden before she was revealed, positioned before she was called, formed before her voice became necessary. And a seed does not become a tree by staying above ground, where everyone can admire it. It becomes what it was created to become in the hidden place. Buried does not mean dead. Hidden does not mean forgotten. Delayed does not mean denied. For many of you, the last season was the soil. It was dark. It was quiet. It was uncomfortable. People could not see what God was doing in you, and at times you could not see it either. But roots were forming. Depth was forming. Discernment was forming. Endurance was forming. A different kind of strength was forming. The kind that does not need to announce itself to be real. And now the message is not simply, you were prepared. The deeper message is, preparation has brought you to a threshold, and obedience is now required. This is where the stakes become real, because some people miss their moment, not because God did not speak, but because they wanted certainty more than surrender. They wanted every detail before taking the next step. They wanted everyone to approve before they obeyed. They wanted the old life to release them peacefully before they moved forward. But some doors do not open for the version of you that needs everyone to understand. Some doors open when you are willing to be misunderstood and still remain faithful. Some doors open when you stop negotiating with what God already told you to release. Some doors open when your peace becomes more important than your performance. And this is why certain things had to be removed before your time could come. Some relationships did not leave because you failed. They left because they were tied to a version of you God was not allowing to lead anymore. Some opportunities closed because they would have rewarded the wrong identity. Some rooms rejected you because your calling was too large to be shaped by their approval. Some plans fell apart because they were built around fear, not alignment. Some people became distant because access to you had to change before your assignment could be protected. You may have grieved this. You may still be grieving it, because even when removal is necessary, it can still hurt. Even when God is protecting you, it can still feel lonely. Even when a door closes for your good, your heart may still ache for what you hoped it would become. But do not confuse grief with error. You can miss what God removed and still trust why He removed it. You can love people and still not go backward. You can feel sadness and still know your spirit is being led forward. This is not the season to drag old access into new territory. You are allowed to outgrow conversations that keep you small. You are allowed to outgrow places that only recognize the wounded version of you. You are allowed to outgrow patterns that once helped you survive, but now keep you bound. You are allowed to protect what God is building in you, and you do not owe anyone an apology for becoming who you were always intended to become. There is one more layer to this, and I want you to hold it carefully. Many chosen ones carry a memory of being more alive than they feel now. Maybe when you were younger, your mind felt sharper, your imagination was stronger, your intuition was clearer. You could learn quickly, sense things deeply, notice patterns others missed, and believe in possibility without needing so much proof. Then life happened. Pressure happened. Disappointment happened. Systems happened. Survival happened. And slowly, that inner brightness began to feel dimmed. Not gone, dimmed. You may have thought you lost it. But what if it was not lost? What if it was buried under noise, stress, fear, disappointment, and years of living in a state of survival? What if part of what God is restoring in this season is not just your circumstances, but your clarity, your focus, your spiritual sensitivity, your ability to hear wisdom beneath fear, your ability to recognize the right door when it opens? Because if your time is now, then your mind cannot remain foggy, your spirit cannot remain divided, your attention cannot keep being stolen by things that have no right to lead you. There is a reason your inner clarity matters right now. There is a reason your peace matters right now. There is a reason your ability to discern matters right now. And later, this will become even clearer. But for now, understand this. God is not only preparing things around you, He is restoring something within you. The part of you that knew, the part of you that sensed, the part of you that could feel truth before evidence arrived, the part of you that believed there was something more. That part has not died. It is being called forward. And this is why you cannot treat this season casually. Your time is now, but the door is not the only thing opening. Your responsibility is opening. Your discernment is opening. Your obedience is opening. Your next level of identity is opening. And before the next part of this message unfolds, I need you to understand this clearly. You are not being asked to become someone else. You are being asked to stop abandoning who God has been forming all along. The pressure is not here to crush you. The silence was not here to erase you. The delay was not here to mock you. The removal was not here to punish you. It was all working together to bring you to this threshold. And soon, you will understand why the old life could not keep you. Soon, you will understand why your spirit became uncomfortable before your circumstances changed. Soon, you will understand why certain doors had to stay closed until your identity was strong enough to walk through the right one. But there is still one deeper truth. There is one decision that reveals whether you are truly ready for the time God has appointed. And when you see it, you will understand why this moment could not be ignored. Chosen one, your time is now. But what opens next will require more than desire. It will require obedience. And this is the part where the message becomes personal. Because many people say they are ready for their time, but they are not ready for the obedience their time requires. They want the door, but not the surrender. They want the blessing, but not the pruning. They want the answer, but not the instruction that comes before the answer. Chosen one, you do not realize what is at stake, but you are about to. Everything you felt in the last season was pointing toward this. The strange exhaustion, the emotional waves, the change in your tolerance, the distance from people you once thought would always walk with you, the dreams, the repetition, the quiet discomfort that made your old life feel too small. It was not random. It was not your imagination. It was not just stress. It was God bringing your awareness to the threshold. And now, before anything opens wider, you must understand the three things that are truly at stake in this hour. The first thing at stake is your obedience, not your talent, not your potential, not your ability to talk about faith, not your ability to recognize a spiritual message, when it finds you, your obedience. Because there are moments when God will not give you the whole map. He will give you one step. And the step may look too small to matter, too simple to be sacred, too quiet to be connected to the future you have been praying for. But that is often how divine timing works. The instruction may not be dramatic. It may be to stop answering the same person with the same emotional access. It may be to stop rehearsing the same fear every night. It may be to stop shrinking your voice because someone in your past taught you that your presence was too much. It may be to prepare quietly. It may be to forgive without returning. It may be to move in silence. It may be to finish what you keep postponing. It may be to stop asking for another confirmation when God has already confirmed it through peace, discomfort, wisdom, repetition, and the quiet knowing you keep trying to explain away. This is why obedience matters now, because delayed obedience can sometimes disguise itself as wisdom. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right time, but sometimes you are waiting for fear to disappear. You tell yourself you are being careful, but sometimes you are avoiding the weight of becoming visible. You tell yourself you need one more sign, but sometimes the sign has already come, and what you need now is agreement. God is not asking you to control the whole outcome. He is asking you to stop refusing the next step. And this is where the second thing becomes clear. Your clarity is at stake, because when your mind is foggy, you can misread a blessing as a burden. You can misread protection as rejection. You can misread divine delay as abandonment. You can misread a closed door as failure when it was mercy. You can misread a new door as danger simply because it does not look like the pain you are used to. Clarity is not a luxury for you in this season. It is protection. You need clarity to know what is yours and what is not. You need clarity to know which voice is wisdom and which voice is fear, wearing the clothing of caution. You need clarity to know when silence is obedience and when silence is avoidance. You need clarity to know when to stay, when to release, when to prepare, when to speak, and when to let God defend what you no longer have the strength to explain. And I need you to hear this carefully. Confusion is not always a sign that God is absent. Sometimes confusion is what happens when the old identity is losing control and the new identity has not yet become familiar. You are not lost. You are being separated from the version of you that needed chaos to feel normal. You are being separated from the version of you that confused anxiety with urgency. You are being separated from the version of you that thought peace was boring because survival had trained your nervous system to expect pain. This is why your clarity matters, because the next season cannot be carried by a mind that keeps returning to the old interpretation of everything. The third thing at stake is your stewardship. And this may be the part that many people do not want to hear. What God gives you next will have to be protected. Not hidden because you are afraid. Protected because it is sacred. There are things you cannot announce too early. There are relationships you cannot expose to every opinion. There are doors you cannot discuss with people who only know how to project their fear onto your faith. There are dreams you cannot place in the hands of those who only recognize you when you are struggling. Stewardship means you stop treating sacred things casually. It means you stop giving full access to people who have not shown the capacity to honor what God is building in you. It means you stop explaining every move before it has roots. It means you stop using noise to validate what only peace was supposed to confirm. And this is why your time is now. Not because everything is finished. Not because you feel perfectly ready. Not because everyone understands. Your time is now because God has brought you to an appointed moment. And appointed moments require participation. There is a word that helps explain this. The word is kairos. Kairos is not just ordinary time passing on a clock. It is not simply minutes, days, months, and years moving forward. Kairos speaks of an appointed time, a meaningful time, an opportunity that carries weight because something has aligned. That is why this message says your time is now, not because a calendar changed, because something in the spirit has aligned. The preparation, The pressure, the pruning, the silence, the discomfort, the closed doors, the inner warning, the repeated signs, the dreams, the exhaustion, the strange clarity that keeps returning even when you try to ignore it. All of it has been pointing to an appointed moment. But Kairos is not passive. When the appointed time comes, you do not simply admire it. You respond to it. So here is where you must apply what I will call the threshold audit. Do not move your body. Do not reach for anything. Do not stop what you are safely doing. Let this happen inside you. In your mind, see a quiet doorway in front of you. It is not dramatic. It is not decorated. It is simply there. A plain door with warm light underneath it. Now, without forcing anything, let one question rise inside you. What has God been making uncomfortable? Because it can no longer come with you. Do not argue with the answer. Just notice it. It may be a habit. It may be a conversation. It may be a relationship pattern. It may be the way you speak to yourself. It may be the way you keep postponing what your spirit already knows. Now let the second question rise. What have you been delaying because you fear the cost? Not because you lack wisdom, not because you have no confirmation, but because you know that if you obey, something about your life will have to change. Now let the third question rise. What version of you can no longer cross this threshold? The version that needs everyone to approve. The version that hides behind overthinking. The version that apologizes for needing peace. The version that returns to what wounded you because familiar pain feels easier than unfamiliar freedom. Let God show you the version that cannot lead anymore. And now let the fourth question rise. What is the small act of obedience that keeps returning to your mind? Not the giant leap, not the whole future, not the impossible plan. The small act, the next honest thing, the next clean thing, the next aligned thing. That is where your response begins. Because God often hides the doorway inside the next obedient step. And now I want to give you another practice, but it is not physical. It is not something you need to write down. It is something you do inside. Call it the obedience window. In your imagination, see that same doorway again. This time, imagine that your hand is not on the handle. Your hand is over your heart, holding the instruction God has already given you. Do not open the door yet. Just hold the instruction and say within yourself, I do not need the whole map to agree with the next step. Let that sentence settle. I do not need the whole map to agree with the next step. This is not about rushing. This is not about panic. This is not about forcing a result. This is about refusing to let fear become your spiritual leader. You may still feel uncertainty. That is okay. You may still feel trembling. That is okay. You may still wonder how all the pieces will come together. That is okay. But uncertainty does not cancel obedience. Trembling does not cancel calling. Questions do not cancel timing. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is agree with God before your emotions catch up. And for some of you, the obedience is very quiet. It is to stop checking on what God told you to release. It is to stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It is to stop delaying the preparation because the door has not opened publicly yet. It is to stop speaking death over the very future you prayed for. It is to stop calling yourself behind when God has been forming you in hidden places. And for others, the obedience is to become visible, to let your voice return, to let your gift breathe, to stop hiding your wisdom because someone once made you feel foolish for seeing what they could not see. This is where success terror comes in. Yes, success terror, because not every chosen one is afraid of failure. Some are afraid of what happens if it actually works. What if the door opens? What if the opportunity comes? What if the right people finally see you? What if the responsibility is bigger than you imagined? What if the version of you that always survived quietly is now required to lead publicly? This fear does not mean you are weak. It means you understand weight. People who have no reverence for responsibility often rush into rooms they are not ready to carry. But you have felt the weight, and that is part of why God can trust you. You are not casual about the next season. You are not treating it like entertainment. You know something real is happening. But hear this. Healthy fear can make you careful. Unhealed fear will make you disobedient. Healthy fear bows before God and says, "Teach me how to carry this." Unhealed fear hides and says, "Maybe I was never meant for it." You were meant for it. Not because you are perfect, not because you never doubt, not because you have never fallen apart in private. You were meant for it because God has been forming you in places where no one saw the cost. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be trusted with more. You are allowed to outgrow hiding. You are allowed to carry responsibility without apologizing for the weight of your assignment. You are allowed to become stable in increase. You are allowed to let the old fear lose its authority. And you are allowed to stop asking your past for permission to enter your future. This is the moment where the message becomes even deeper, because the final issue is not only whether you will obey, it is whether you will be clear enough to recognize what obedience looks like when it arrives. Many chosen ones have been living with a fog over their focus for so long that they think fog is normal. They remember being sharper once, more creative, more intuitive, more alive. They remember sensing things before they happened, learning quickly, seeing patterns, feeling guided, believing that life had something sacred hidden inside it. Then the world got loud, pressure got loud, disappointment got loud, fear got loud, survival got loud, and slowly that God-given clarity became buried under mental noise. This is one of the hidden stakes of your season, because if your time is now, then your mind cannot stay scattered, your attention cannot stay stolen, your inner signal cannot remain buried under years of stress, fear, and survival. And this is why I want to speak carefully about something that connects the spiritual and the practical. There is a state of the brain often connected with heightened focus, insight, learning, and deep flow. It is called gamma. Some people describe it scientifically as a brainwave state. Others would simply say it feels like the mind becoming bright again, like the inner room turning on, like the fog lifting enough for you to sense what was always there. And when you think about chosen ones, this matters, because many of you were not ordinary children in the way you processed the world. You felt deeply. You noticed what others missed. You learned through intuition. You carried a kind of sensitivity that people did not know how to explain. But as life pressed on you, that clarity may have felt dimmed, not destroyed, dimmed. And I want to be honest with you. No sound, no tool, no practice can replace obedience. Nothing can replace prayer, wisdom, discipline, healing, or the choices you must make in real life. But sometimes God allows tools to meet us in the exact area where we have been struggling. And if one of the areas under attack has been your clarity, your focus, your inner signal, and your ability to return to a state of flow, then this may matter for you. There is a 7-minute audio ritual called the Genius Song. It is a digital audio track designed to be listened to with headphones, and it uses brain entrainment to help guide the brain toward gamma activity. The idea is simple. Instead of trying to force your mind into clarity through effort alone, the sound pattern is designed to help your brain follow a frequency associated with focus, insight, and flow. Again, this is not magic. It is not a replacement for God. It is not a shortcut around obedience. Think of it more like a tuning instrument. If your mind is like a radio that has been stuck in static, this is designed to help the dial return toward a clearer signal. And for a chosen one who has felt foggy right at the threshold, clarity is not a small thing. One story that captures this is the story of a teacher in Texas. She was 43 years old, and she had spent years helping other people grow while feeling like her own mind was running at a fraction of what it used to be. She described it like living at 30% capacity, not because she had no gifts, not because she had no calling, but because the inner brightness she remembered from earlier in life felt buried. After using the 7-minute ritual for a few weeks, what changed first was not something loud, it was clarity. Ideas began returning. Decisions she had delayed for months suddenly felt simple enough to make. She did not describe it like becoming someone else. She described it like coming back to herself. That is why I am mentioning it here, because this message is not just about a door opening around you. It is about what must become clear within you before you step through it. On the official page, the Genius song is normally listed at $49, but there is a special access price of $39 for people who are led to explore it through this message. It also comes with several bonuses, including an audio for children, a classic prosperity book, a guided visualization, and a simple infographic for daily habits. And there is a money-back guarantee, so if it does not feel aligned or helpful for you, you are not trapped. I know some of you may be thinking, I have tried so many things already. I understand that, and I would never ask you to turn off your discernment. Discernment is part of your protection. This is not about chasing every promise. This is about asking whether something resonates with the specific season you are in. If your struggle has been spiritual confusion, mental fog, scattered attention, and feeling disconnected from the clarity you used to carry, then it may be worth looking at. I also need to say this clearly. There are fake versions and imitation products online using similar names. Some are just ordinary audio with no real brain entrainment structure inside. If you feel led to explore the original, use only the link placed in the description and the pinned comment, so you can receive the correct version, the bonuses, and the guarantee. Do not search randomly. Do not chase copies. If it is for you, you will feel the nudge with peace, not pressure. And if it is not for you, stay with the deeper message. Because the tool is not the point. The point is clarity. The point is obedience. The point is becoming the version of you who can carry what God is opening. Now return your attention to the threshold. In your mind, see the door again. The warm light is still beneath it. Behind you is the old room, not an evil room, a room that once held you, a room where you learned survival, a room where you learned silence, a room where you learned how to keep going when no one understood the weight you carried. But that room cannot hold the next version of you. Do not hate it, bless it. That old room taught you endurance. It taught you discernment. It taught you how to pray with no audience. It taught you how to keep breathing when the promise felt far away. But now, in your spirit, turn your attention toward the door. You do not need to force it open. You do not need to kick it down. You do not need to prove you are ready by performing strength. Just let your inner self stand before it and agree with God. Say within yourself, I release the version of me that needed fear to feel safe. Say within yourself, I release the version of me that needed confusion to avoid obedience. Say within yourself, I release the version of me that kept asking closed doors to validate my worth. Say within yourself, I receive the clarity to recognize what God is doing. Say within yourself, I receive the courage to obey before I understand everything. Say within yourself, I receive the peace to carry what is coming without becoming someone I was never meant to be. And now, imagine the light under the door becoming brighter, not blinding, not loud, steady, warm, certain. That light is not begging you, it is waiting for your agreement. And I hear the Father saying, I did not prepare you for nothing. I did not carry you through silence for nothing. I did not remove what could not come with you for nothing. Your time is now, and I am teaching you how to carry it. Chosen one, this is the sacred truth. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are not too broken to be trusted. You are not too quiet to be used. You are not too wounded to become wise. You are not too misunderstood to be chosen for something real. God has seen the years you could not explain. He saw the nights you carried questions no one knew about. He saw the moments you almost returned to what hurt you because at least it felt familiar. He saw the way you kept showing up when your heart was tired. He saw the prayers you stopped saying out loud because hope had become painful. And still, he was forming you. In the silence, he was forming you. In the delay, he was forming you. In the rejection, he was forming you. In the closed doors, he was forming you. In the hidden years, he was forming you. And now, the formation is not ending. It is becoming visible. You are the seer who notices what others overlook. You are the spiritual warrior who does not collapse because pressure gets loud. You are the voice who will speak what others felt but could not name. You are the cycle breaker who refuses to pass old pain into a new season. You are the builder who will create something that outlives the storm that shaped you. This is why your time matters. Not because you need attention, not because you need applause, not because you need people to finally admit they were wrong about you. Your time matters because your obedience is connected to more than your comfort. There are people who will be helped by the healing you stop hiding. There are rooms that will need the wisdom you earned in private. There are decisions that will change because you finally stop abandoning your own discernment. There are blessings that can only be stewarded by the version of you who has stopped negotiating with fear. So receive this carefully. May every false voice lose authority in your mind. May every old attachment release its grip from your spirit. May every counterfeit door lose its attraction. May every confusion that has been clouding your discernment begin to clear. May your peace become stronger than your panic. May your obedience become stronger than your need for approval. May your clarity become stronger than the noise around you. May your calling become stronger than the identity that kept you hidden. And may you finally understand that God did not bring you to this threshold to abandon you here. The door opening is not the proof that God is with you. God was with you before the door opened. God was with you when you were still buried like a seed. God was with you when you had no evidence except the quiet knowing in your spirit. God was with you when you lost what you thought you needed. God was with you when you were being formed in places nobody celebrated. And God will be with you as you step into what comes next. You do not need to carry the old fear through the new door. You do not need to carry every old explanation. You do not need to carry the guilt of outgrowing what was too small for your assignment. You do not need to carry the voice that told you your time would never come. Your time is now, not someday, not when everyone understands, not when fear disappears, not when the whole map is visible. Now, and now does not mean frantic. Now means aligned. Now means awake. Now means responsive. Now means you stop treating divine instruction like a suggestion you can keep postponing forever. So, let the next step become clear. Let the old room become blessed, not worshipped. Let the threshold become holy, not terrifying. Let the door become an invitation, not a threat. And let your spirit answer God with a quiet yes. Not a loud performance. Not a promise made from emotion. A quiet yes. A steady yes. A surrendered yes. The kind of yes that does not need to know everything because it trusts the one who called. And if this message has reached the place in you that knows it is time, do not leave this moment unchanged. Choose one act of obedience in your spirit right now. One release, one agreement, one decision, one old pattern that will not get to lead anymore. One step you will stop delaying. Hold it before God without fear. Let it become simple. Let it become clean. Let it become yours. And if you feel led to explore the 7-minute clarity ritual I mentioned earlier, the only safe link is in the description and the pinned comment. Use discernment, move with peace, never with pressure. But above all, remember this: the tool is not your savior. The door is not your identity. The blessing is not your God. God is the one who has been forming you, guiding you, correcting you, protecting you, and calling you forward. And I hear the Father saying, "Your time is now, but do not fear the weight of it. I have already been teaching your hands how to carry what your eyes have not yet seen." Chosen one, you do not realize what was at stake. But now you do. Your obedience, your clarity, your stewardship, your identity, your appointed time. Do not go back to sleep inside a life God is waking you from. Do not call yourself late when heaven is calling you ready. Do not shrink at the doorway you were formed to enter. Your time is now, and this time you will not miss yourself. You will not abandon your discernment. You will not apologize for becoming whole. You will not drag the old identity into the place where only the new you can stand. The door is before you. The light is steady. The season is speaking. God is calling, and your spirit already knows the answer. Yes,